What if the friendly face in your neighborhood, the one who waves at you and blends effortlessly into your community, is hiding something unspeakably dark? This is the chilling story of Dennis Rader, the BTK Killer. He wasn't just a neighbor. He was a predator in disguise, lurking behind the mask of normalcy. For decades, Rader's twisted double life terrorized families and shattered lives. Let's delve into how this seemingly ordinary man led a life of unimaginable horror, and how his mask finally slipped. The story of Dennis Rader, the infamous BTK Killer, continues to haunt true crime enthusiasts around the world. Operating under the chilling nickname BTK, which stands for Bind, Torture, Kill, Rader evaded capture for over 3 decades. His reign of terror stretched from the 1970s to the 1990s, with each crime more calculated and disturbing than the last. Rader's ability to elude law enforcement left the community of Wichita, Kansas, living in fear, unaware that the man next door could be their killer. What makes this story so captivating is not just the gruesome nature of his crimes, but the ordinary persona he maintained while committing them. His meticulous planning and taunting letters to the media and police, where he boasted about his killings, set him apart as a killer, driven by a dangerous craving for recognition. Today, the BTK case is remembered as one of the most chilling examples of the duality of human nature. How even the most normal-looking individuals can harbor monstrous secrets. Dennis Rader grew up in the quiet town of Wichita, Kansas, where he was raised in a seemingly normal, middle-class family. However, there were early signs of troubling behavior. As a child, he displayed a fascination with control, often fantasizing about capturing and torturing animals. As an adult, Rader built a family, worked as a compliance officer, and was active in his church, where he served as a leader. To the outside world, he appeared to be a model citizen, a loving father and husband. But beneath this facade, a dark obsession with power and control simmered, leading to his horrifying crimes. In January of 1974, Dennis Rader committed his first known murders. The victims were the Otero family, Joseph, Julie, and their 2 children, who were found bound and strangled in their Wichita home. The brutal killings shocked the community, leaving them paralyzed by fear. Rader broke into the family's house, bound the victims, and executed them in cold blood. His method was chilling. He tortured his victims before killing them, showing no remorse. The brutal nature of these killings would become a hallmark of his crimes. The Otero's deaths were just the beginning of a pattern that would terrorize the region for years.
Well, I confronted the family, pulled a pistol, confronted Mr. Otero, and asked him to, that I was there to, basically, I was wanted to get the car. I was hungry, food, I was wanted, and I asked him to lie down in the living room. And at that time, I realized that wouldn't be a really good idea. So the dog was a real problem, so I asked Mr. Otero if he could get the dog out. So he had one of the kids put it out. And then I took him back to the bedroom.
You took who back to the bedroom?
The family, to the bedroom, the 4 members.
All right, what happened then?
At that time, I tied him up.
While still holding him at gunpoint?
Well, in between tying and yes. Yeah.
In April 1985, a woman named Maureen Hedge became one of his victims. Maureen lived just down the street from Rader. She enjoyed working in her yard, a common pastime in her peaceful neighborhood. Little did she know, her seemingly friendly neighbor had been watching her, observing her routines, and planning her death. On the evening of April 27th, Rader attended a commitment. He then changed his clothes, disguised himself, and parked his car at a bowling alley far from his target's home. From there, he took a taxi to avoid suspicion, feigning drunkenness to explain his unusual request to be dropped off in a residential area. Once alone, he walked to Maureen's house, carrying his hit kit, a bag containing tools he used for his crimes. When Rader arrived, he was surprised to find Maureen's car in the driveway. She wasn't supposed to be home. Undeterred, he carefully broke into her house, moving like a cat burglar. Inside, he hid in a bedroom and waited. When Maureen eventually returned with a male friend, Rader stayed hidden until the man left. Hours later, as Maureen slept, Rader made his move. He turned on the bathroom light, startling her awake. She screamed, but he quickly jumped on her and strangled her with his hands. Afterward, Rader indulged in his twisted fantasies. He stripped Maureen's body, photographed her in various positions, and eventually transported her to a church.
I tied it, she was already dead, so I took pictures of her in different forms of bondage, and that's probably what got me in trouble was the bondage thing. So anyway, that's probably the main thing. But anyway, after that, I moved her back out to the car, and then we went east on 53rd.
There, he took more photographs before dumping her body in a ditch along a secluded road. He covered her with brush and returned to his normal life, as if nothing had happened.
I drew a pistol at her and asked her if she'd go back to the bedroom with me.
Was this the same .357 Magnum you used?
No, this was a different one.
Different pistol. Or you asked her to go back to the bedroom with you after drawing a pistol on her?
Yes, sir.
What happened then?
I told her, we went back to the bedroom, I told her I was going to have to tie her up. She was very upset, and I think I used some material that was in, and that's another thing, I'm not sure, but I think I used the material that they had in their bedroom, and after I tied her hands, she broke that and we started fighting, and we fought quite a bit, back and forth.
All right, she was physically fighting you?
Oh, yeah, yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
What happened then?
Finally got the hand on her and got a nylon sock and started strangling her.
So you wrapped the stocking around her neck?
Yes.
Fast forward to September 1986. Another woman, Vicky Vagerla, became Rader's next victim. Vicky was a kind-hearted woman and a dedicated mother. She had no idea that someone had been stalking her, observing her daily activities, and planning to harm her. On the morning of September 16th, Rader dressed as a telephone repairman. He carried a briefcase filled with his tools and approached Vicky's house. Pretending to check the phone lines, he gained her trust and entered her home. Once inside, Rader pulled out a pistol and forced her into the bedroom. Vicky resisted fiercely, fighting for her life. She managed to break free from her restraints at one point, but Rader overpowered her. Using a nylon stocking, Rader strangled Vicky. He believed she was dead and took photographs of her lifeless body. However, she was still alive when paramedics arrived. Despite their efforts, she passed away shortly after. Her death left her family devastated and the community in shock. Dennis Rader's crimes were not impulsive. He followed a methodical process he referred to as phases. First, he selected a target. Then he stalked them, learning their routines and vulnerabilities. Finally, he planned and executed his attacks with chilling precision. These crimes were not just about killing. For Rader, they were about control, domination, and fulfilling his twisted fantasies. His need for control was evident in his chilling approach to each murder. He took his time with the victims, binding and torturing them before taking their lives. The psychological torment he inflicted was part of his twisted desire to dominate. Rader's methodical nature made him a terrifying figure. Each murder was an attempt to exert absolute control over his victims. In the years following his first killings, Rader sent a series of taunting letters to the media and law enforcement. These letters were cryptic and boastful, often describing the murders in disturbing detail. Rader reveled in the fear he caused, craving recognition for his actions. His letters were filled with chilling puzzles and codes, showing the twisted pride he took in his crimes. He enjoyed the terror that his name invoked, and these letters would come to define his reign of fear. His need for attention from the media and police was unmistakable, and it would take years for investigators to connect the dots. Dennis Rader's ability to maintain a double life was key to his long-running success in evading capture. He was not only a family man, but also an upstanding member of his local church, where he served as president of the congregation. Neighbors and friends knew him as a mild-mannered, devout man, someone who seemed completely trustworthy. They never suspected that behind this normal exterior was a killer with a disturbing desire for control. The fact that he could seamlessly blend into society while committing these heinous crimes is what makes the BTK case so terrifying. Rader was a predator, hiding in plain sight. For years, law enforcement struggled to make any headway in the BTK case. The 1970s and 1980s lacked the advanced forensic technology available today, which made it difficult to track down the killer. Additionally, Rader was careful and meticulous, leaving few clues behind. He He knew how to avoid detection, often sending misleading information to confuse investigators. His ability to evade capture for decades was a testament to his cunning and control. The psychological profile that investigators built suggested that Rader was someone with a deep need for control. But even with this knowledge, catching him seemed impossible. In 2004, after years of silence, Rader resurfaced, sending another letter to the media. This time, he made a critical mistake. He included a floppy disk with his letter. Law enforcement was able to trace the disk to Rader's church, where he was an active member. This breakthrough would lead to his eventual capture. With the help of modern forensic technology, investigators pieced together the clues and identified Rader as the BTK Killer. The long search was finally over, and in 2005, Dennis Rader was arrested. Rader's arrest in 2005 shocked the world. When he was taken into custody, he showed no remorse for his crimes. In court, he delivered chilling confessions, describing his murders in disturbing detail without any hint of guilt. His demeanor was cold and detached, as though recounting the actions of someone else. The families of his victims were left reeling, unable to comprehend the man they had once known as a neighbor, a father, and a church leader. Rader's confessions were as calculated as his crimes, showing no real emotion or empathy for the lives he had destroyed. His willingness to speak so openly about his killings further reinforced his terrifying need for control and recognition. The BTK case left an indelible mark on the Wichita community, whose residents still grapple with the trauma of living in fear for so many years. The case also had a lasting impact on law enforcement, influencing the way they approached serial crimes and how they use modern technology to track down killers. Rader's ability to lead such a double life serves as a haunting reminder of how predators can blend into society, often hiding in plain sight. The BTK case sparked an important conversation about the masks we all wear and how sometimes the darkest truths remain hidden. Dennis Rader's life was a chilling testament to the duality of human nature. He led a seemingly ordinary life while secretly harboring an insatiable need for control and violence. His capture and the revelations that followed serve as a stark reminder of the dangers of underestimating the dark potential in people we might think we know. The BTK case has taught us the importance of vigilance and understanding the complexity of the human psyche. Rader's story is a haunting one, reminding us that sometimes the most ordinary masks can hide the darkest truths.